Welcome to the Warrior Biz Network podcast, where the men of F3 Nation come to share, learn, and inspire, unlocking the secrets of business and life along the way. Join us as we dive into the stories of PAX entrepreneurs leading the charge in the world of business. From the heart-pounding challenges to the exhilarating triumphs, discover how these warriors in business are making an impact through the principles of fitness, fellowship, and faith. It's time to unleash your potential and join the ranks of F3's finest.
Oh man, that was a great intro. Do you know whose voice that was?
It sounded like a bold native Texan if I had to guess.
It's got to be. That was lovely. You jumped on here early and saw me watching that, and I told you I was just watching that on repeat. So it sounds so good. Love that voice.
You bet.
That's awesome. Well, Kyle Gabhart, aka Bluebonnet, you're the first one on the Warrior Biz Network show. So welcome.
Hi there. You look suspiciously similar to a guy I worked out with once, but it wasn't Brad. It was Jazz something or other. Kind of a Disney princess sort of vibe to it.
You caught me. It is Jasmine. I should probably forgot to change my name down here at some point.
But yeah, no, thrilled to come on here and chat for a bit. I have no idea which direction this is going, but I'm stoked to see where it leads.
I love it, man. Me neither. So we're both here together. So guys, this is the very first episode 1 of the Warrior Biz Network podcast. Bluebonnet over here actually helped me come up with the name and has been super helpful on this over a quick text thread, which is always fun. And so the purpose of this show and of Warrior Biz Network is really to connect PAX who are business owners. Maybe you guys can relate. Have your M's ever asked you for something like, hey, do you know anyone that can do X? And my M is now trained to say, hey, why don't you just go check your Slack group? Just go ask someone on Slack.
Yeah, because the alternative is to like throw a Hail Mary into Facebook and hopefully get something meaningful, or to get lost on Google reviews and maybe find somebody you can trust. It's way easier to just check and see if somebody's willing to go work out at 5:30 in the morning, rain or shine, or like today it was pouring rain while we were working out. That's probably somebody I'm willing to do business with.
100%. We had some hail today too. We had to run back to the car in hail and rain, and we had an F&G.
We did. But what a way to start.
But it's okay. He was a Marine, so he was just fine.
Good call.
Just fine. Yes. So the goal of this is really just to connect business owners doing business and have a directory that we're trying to build. So PAX can just jump on and say, hey, I'm looking for a financial planner near me. I'm looking for graphic designer near me. I'm looking for a plumber near me, and have that world of connected PAX. It just seemed like a good idea. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I love that. And the other thing that's interesting is, I think in a lot of cases, the near me part is key, because we do know from F3 and especially, Dread Talks and Q Source about the importance of proximity. But the beauty is that with Slack and with things like Zoom and technology in general, depending on the nature of the service, it wouldn't have to be proximate. So you recently actually connected me with somebody in Seattle that you had met through F3 Nation, that you learned potentially was looking for some wealth management, financial planning support, connected us, and we're able to serve them. Obviously, if my business was in the trades, I can't necessarily, help with their plumbing or their roof from a distance, but I can work remotely. And I know your work as well, although proximity is helpful. The marketing services, the amazing digital ninja work that you guys do online for folks can be done all over the globe. And so some of it could even extend beyond our local areas, which is awesome.
So true, man. So I'm super happy to have you as my first guest. So Bluebonnet's been just a staple of F3 Alliance. We're both F3 Alliance in Dallas-Fort Worth. We're both part of the same Chamber of Commerce. I remember it was at like a ribbon cutting, and I think I just kind of slid an invite to you to be like, hey, you might like this. And then you've been like one of the core people, which is amazing. It's been pretty awesome.
I certainly love the fact that we have that bond and connection. I am partly jealous that so many other people have it too, because you are absolutely on fire when it comes to EHing people. Anytime I, get to thinking that like maybe I've done a good job talking to people about F3, all I have to do is take a gander at a beatdown where you are bringing like 3 F&Gs with you or 4 F&Gs with you. And if that only happened one random time, okay, but you do it consistently. So thank you for continuing to step out in that way and to reach for guys that are not, necessarily swimming in the most positive direction they could be, and helping pull them into the flow of what we're doing in F3. You're awesome in that regard, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It's addictive. It's probably to my own detriment. When I have business meetings, I tend to talk more about F3 and invite them into the gloom than I do about like going straight to sales. Because it's like most of us, right? If you're the kind of person that can get up that early, do that work, like we talked about, like we're probably going to be doing some business together or at least life together. So let's try that first and see if you can actually show up and hang with us.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Bluegrass.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. So the traditional way of doing business is give me a giant pile of money. We'll stick it in a portfolio for you and manage it, and we'll let you know when you can retire. And we prefer like you said, much more holistic approach, partly because not everybody necessarily needs to stick money in the stock market. There may be parts of that are relevant for you. But if you're a business owner, if you're a real estate investor, or if you just don't feel really warm and fuzzy about everything being an invisible, ethereal number sitting on a page, and you want more tangible assets like precious metals and like business interests and like private equity and real estate, we look at pulling all of those different assets together. But we also do it in coordination and alignment with your estate plan and with your tax strategy. And by coordinating the different professionals in your life, we build what we call an advisory council around our clients so that they're getting integrated guidance, integrated strategy, as opposed to what happens so often, which is you're running back and forth between the attorney and the CPA and the banker and your advisor and your insurance agent and your real estate broker. And no one's really giving you that integrated view of here's where we're going and here's the game plan for how we get there.
And I know you talk about serving those who serve as part of kind of what you say. Could you elaborate maybe on the types of clients you work with and why that specific focus is important to you?
Ooh, yeah. That's interesting. So, we want to help anyone we can, but where we really connect well, where we really thrive, is folks that have a vision bigger than themselves. We talk a lot about legacy. That's part of the reason that it's in the name of the business. And for us, it's not really about money. What we really prefer is to work with folks that recognize that your legacy is an impact that you're making on a daily basis, that you're writing your legacy every single day with the choices that you make. And that really what you want to do is rather than leaving a legacy, you want to live one on a daily. Money is terrific, but we see it as an amplifier of your legacy rather than the embodiment of your legacy. And so whatever constitutes your legacy, those values, those ideals, those goals, those projects, initiative, things that you've put out there, whatever you've deposited into your M's and your 2.0s, whatever that legacy constitutes, money can help to magnify that. But we never want to lose sight of the money isn't the thing. It's simply an amplifier of the thing.
Legacy Group. Tell us a little bit about your business, Kyle. What do you guys do?
Yeah, appreciate that. So it is absolutely incidental that the beginning of my handle, Bluebonnet, and the name of the business, Bluegrass, both start with blue. It is true that blue is my favorite color. It's also the color of my truck, but that is incidental. So Bluebonnet, of course, is because of my native Texan roots, born and raised, and got a plaque in my office in the other room that says, "Never ask a man where he's from. If he's from Texas, he'll tell you. If he's not, don't embarrass him." And so I shared that at the beatdown, and of course I was hoping for something clever like Tex or Armadillo or Dillo, and they said, no, let's go with a dainty flower. What's the state flower? It's Bluebonnet. And so that's how Bluebonnet occurred. Then when it comes to the business, Bluegrass Legacy Group, so that is because of my roots. Although I am born and raised a native Texan, my father was raised on a tobacco and dairy farm just outside of Lexington, Kentucky. And so he hails from the Bluegrass State. He was a UK alum, go Wildcats. And I just grew up with that in my blood. We went back to Kentucky every single year for Christmas. We had a white Christmas practically every year as a result. And I've always had a special place in my heart for the farm, which is actually a little bitty town called Cornishville. I've been out to that farm many times. Usually it was once a year we'd go see Papa, my grandfather, but a few summers I got to go out there as well. There's a picture of me at age 5 catching my first fish next to the Columbia River there in Cumberland River there in Kentucky. And so, yeah, it's bluegrass because of the farm and because of my father and grandfather. It's legacy because we firmly believe that I firmly believe that I had a legacy handed to me by my father and grandfather of old school values, which is hard work, discipline, treating people with respect, doing what you say you're going to do. And what we aim to do is help our clients articulate their own legacy and pass it on to the next generation, which is why our tagline is turning lives into legacies.
So you guys emphasize a holistic approach to wealth management. Can you maybe explain a little bit of what that means and how you guys are set apart from maybe some of the really traditional financial advisory firms? So you talk about values and faith a lot that I love. And I mean, full transparency, like I'm one of Bluebonnet's clients. He's one of my clients. So we work together.
It's true. True.
So how do you integrate your values and faith into your business practice and make sure that those principles help with just your decision-making and client interactions?
Yeah, that can be a tricky line to walk because, you know, there's a general concept in our society of separation of church and state. And correspondingly, a lot of times people will kind of divide up into here's the business version of me or the financial version of me, and then here's the personal version of me. And it can get a little murky when you start to incorporate the faith elements and the values and so forth. And so to a certain extent, I kind of walk it out a little bit differently with each client because it depends on how comfortable they are with it. Right. So as an example, with one client who's maybe really reserved and not quite ready to open up, we might do things like encouraging them to look at charitable giving as a way to invest in their community and get a little bit of a tax benefit. But someone else who's been a little bit more transparent with their faith and their values and has given us permission to provide some tough love and accountability, we might go so far as to say, so, you know, you said that you were looking to tithe, but the data's not actually showing that. Talk me through that. Like, why are you pulling back on giving? Because it doesn't look like you're actually walking the talk that you shared earlier, and I want to understand that.
So you're able to give some like pretty healthy relational accountability, you know, to if people are saying something like, let's see what your bank account is saying, or let's see what your daily actions are. When you
That's
said
exactly
this,
right.
that's not what I'm actually seeing over here. Man,
Oh yeah,
good.
yeah. I think we all, to a certain extent, are guilty of having a mismatch in what we say our priorities are and what they really are.
Yeah. So has that led to some pretty good conversations? I'm sure that's opened up some doors of interaction and some different conversations. Has that gone to certain places you didn't see happening at the beginning through having some of that accountability?
For sure. So as you know, our conference room is set up kind of like a family room. It doesn't have the big, you know, fancy oak table or anything like that. There's a couch and a few comfortable chairs and a coffee table. And that couch, on more than one occasion, has felt a lot more like a counseling office as people start to pour out the things that are going on in their lives and the things that they're dealing with. Because it's interesting, there is so much connected to, tied up with our perspective on money. In fact, if you go back into our process, one of the early questions that we ask a prospective client that we may engage with is, how was money treated in your family of origin?
Such a good
Was
question.
it something that you perceived as abundant, or perceived as scarce? Was it a hush-hush topic we don't discuss? Or was it something that was open and that you were pulled into in a part of the process? Because depending on your formative years and how money was treated, it can have a substantial impact on how you view it today. And of course, where your treasure is, your heart will be there also. And so it provides a really useful lens into where someone's state of mind is, to a certain extent, where their faith journey is at. And we don't want to overemphasize the money or stewardship aspect of things, but it definitely has a reflection of your heart. And so we aim to walk that out as best as people will allow us to.
I love that. What would you say? So guys that are listening, if maybe and this is honestly, I mean, full transparency, like even my story, like getting started a little bit late, like entrepreneur, just running and gunning. And then, hey, my son only has a few years until college. I probably should start thinking about, some of these things. And admittedly, like my wife's been nagging me for years and it is what it is. But what would you say to guys, even like me, maybe that are listening? It's like, I haven't really done anything yet. I've maybe been a little bit scared or intimidated to walk into a, financial planner, thinking that common misconception of, I don't have a pile of cash that I'm asking, how do I manage this well? It's, how can you help me get a pile of cash or start small so I can know what to do with it? What would you say to guys maybe that are kind of on the fence or trying to figure out what to do with it, with their money?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I definitely appreciate the question. First thing that jumps to my mind is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. Right? So there's something to that effect of, sure, maybe you could have started earlier, but starting today is just as good. The second thing that comes to mind is that I think a lot of times we have created an artificial target in our minds of what we're aiming for. And society has kind of sold us this vision of life where we're supposed to identify some theoretical number. I was talking with someone yesterday and he told me point blank, like literally pulled out of thin air, well, Kyle, I need to save $3 million. Okay. A lot of times people will gravitate towards some number, whatever that is, for whatever reason they come up with it. And they think to themselves, I've got to be nose to the grindstone, build up this theoretical pool of dollars. And more often than not, if we really peel it back, what we're told to expect is, and then it's going to be easy, right? Then I'm going to have this passive income. It's going to show up every month in my bank account. I can set it and forget it. I can relax. I can do the comfortable thing. And I think we know from what we experience in the gloom that that's not how it works, right? You don't work your tail off, get chiseled abs, have 5% body fat, and get to where working out 5-6 days a week is natural for you, and then just hit the autopilot button and have it be easy from then on out. Like that's just not the way that life works. But a lot of us have that concept for what we're aiming for financially. And so part of it, I would say, is we've got to reframe what success looks like. Instead of piling up a theoretical pool of dollars and saying, I need to be able to hit the autopilot button by age 50. Oh, wait, I've started too late. 55. Oh, wait, maybe it's more like 65. What if we just remove the idea that the giant pile of dollars and the autopilot is even the goal? And if we instead embrace a mentality that says, I've been entrusted with a set of resources and opportunities, and I want to be the best steward of those resources and opportunities. And to the extent that that allows me to have a future version of my life where working for money is a lower component of my time and my focus, then that's what I want to aim for. And that doesn't necessarily have to be tied to age 59 and a half, the way that our tax code tends to tie it. And so that's where I prefer the terminology work optional lifestyle rather than retirement. Retirement sounds gross. We retire things when we're done with them, right? We retire jerseys. We retire racehorses. We retire battleships. These are things that are all used up. They have no value. We're going to put them out to pasture. We're going to set them on the shelf. We're going to turn them into a museum. We're done with them. I don't want that to be true of my life. And Brad, I don't think you want that to be true of yours either. So let's get rid of gross things like the word retirement and let's talk about how do I get my cash flow and my expenses, my assets and liabilities aligned in such a way that I can choose to work to generate pay if I want to, or I've got the option of working or the option of deciding I'm going to pour my passion into some other project, some other initiative, some other organization, and whether or not I get a paycheck is irrelevant. It's that kind of freedom and flexibility that anyone can be working towards, no matter what age they start and no matter what dollar figure they currently have in their bank account.
Man, that's a mic drop moment. So I think it just goes beyond what we were normally taught or what our parents were taught, or that old idea of retirement. And then, it's like what happens, and you play golf for a couple years and you get bored, and then what? And it's kind of a good tee up. You've got several books, but you've got a book that talks a little bit about that too, don't you?
I do. So that would be over here. Legends Don't Retire, and neither should you.
It's funny because that book's in the back of my Jeep. I sent you a picture the other day. My daughter was sitting back there. So my daughter, who's 9, I look back, she has that book and is reading it, which is amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's the only book I have back there, and she was just going through it. She was figuring it out. So I was like, hey, Bluebonnet, check out what my daughter's reading right now.
Now, did she find one of the pages you hadn't colored in yet?
That would be hard to find.
Yeah, okay, I thought so.
but such a cool concept. Legends don't retire. And I think that's all who we want to be. I mean, that's why we're getting up early and going to the gloom and putting in the hard work. And it's the idea of like, do the hard work now so you don't have to do it later. But I still think it might be just a different kind of work we're doing later. That doesn't mean we're going to stop working. It's just we get to do the things that we really missionally want to do. And that looks different. So instead of being like, hey, how much money am I making from this thing? Right? It's like, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to do this thing. And I don't care that I'm not getting paid. I care that I'm making an impact where I feel like I'm supposed to be right now. Just how freeing and awesome that would be in that place.
That's so true. Yeah. I'll share my my favorite illustration of this. I've scoured scripture, and this podcast is not a Christian podcast, but I am a Christian. So I've scoured scripture. That's right. And I've found one biblical example of retirement, and it's Moses. His first career was 40 years as a shepherd. His second career was 40 years leading the children of Israel out of exile. Then he had to train his successor, Joshua, and then the Lord gave him a sabbatical. He climbed up a mountain for a month. He got to take a look at the promised land, and then he fell over and died. So that is the only example that I've been able to find of retirement. 2 40-year careers, train your successor, you get a 1-month sabbatical, see you later.
Wow. Man, that is pretty incredible. What a way to go.
Yeah.
Take that trip to Hawaii and then you keel over.
That's right.
I've arrived. Done.
You got it.
Oh man, that's incredible. So so guys that are maybe wanting to have a conversation, like what would be the best way for people to connect with you, Bluebonnet, or if they're maybe they've been scared to have a conversation with a financial advisor, it's been intimidating. I mean, that's how it was for me. Like I kind of avoided it just because it's almost like the church thing. It's like, well, I can't go to church until I'm ready. I can't go to F3 until I'm in better shape. Right. Or I can't work with a financial planner until I've got my finances in order, which is the exact opposite of what it's supposed to be.
For sure. Yeah, I need to drop 10 pounds and then I'll go see my doctor because I can't possibly go see him in the shape that I'm in. Or when I do see my doctor, I'm going to tell him how much water that I think he wants to believe I'm drinking, not how much water I'm actually drinking. But
as we grab our water bottles.
I need to hydrate more. But yeah, you're not alone. There's a lot of anxiety tied up with talking with a financial professional because there is that belief that you're going to be judged. There is that belief that you've not done enough, that you haven't been a good steward of what has been entrusted to you. And so that's super common. The first thing I would say is you're not alone. The second thing I would say is that just like we realize in the gloom, the toughest part is getting out there. And once you get out there, it's not nearly as scary or intimidating as you thought, and that we're all in this together. So I would encourage guys to not delay, to find somebody that they can trust, and to just take that first step to have that conversation, build that relationship. And I think they'll be surprised how unassuming and unintimidating it really can be.
That's great. And guys, for connecting with Bluebonnet over here and for Bluegrass, obviously that's why we have the Warrior Biz Network. So we'll put a link to his profile in there. He's got all of his contact information. You can connect with him there. And then I was gonna just end it on kind of an F3 note. What's one of your most memorable moments at F3?
Oof. Oh man. That is so tough. It's been almost a year now since you introduced me. That was back in May. We're recording this in March of 24. It was May of 23, and thank you again. It's been life altering. It's the thing that was missing in my life that I didn't know was missing. But if I had to pick one thing, it would probably be Miles and Merkins in November. And it wouldn't be necessarily one specific moment, would it be many moments where I didn't feel like I could keep going. I didn't feel like I could do another Merkin. I didn't feel like I could do another mile. But that camaraderie, that support, that sense of connectedness that was happening, particularly as the holidays are starting to roll around, that was really impactful for me, and has continued to pay dividends in my life. And I so appreciate it.
You got, what place did you get on Miles and Merkins for a region?
So
you were right up
our
there.
Yeah, so our team took first overall. I took fourth or third overall. And I was number one on Merkins. In November, I did 17,000, over 17,000. The very last day I did 1,600. And for what it's worth, I actually go all the way down and all the way up. I actually do touch the ground every single time. And I see some guys that are gyrating and calling it a Merkin, and it drives me nuts. But I've had to just let that go and leave that with the Lord and be like, look, that's up to them. I'm going to do a full push-up no matter what anyone else does.
Are you talking about kind of like, it's almost like the little pulse?
Yes!
Like, it should be called like a pulse up, like the pulse Merkin?
Yes! Yes! Oh my goodness. Anyway.
Yeah, so you did the real. So another story I'm going to share, which I want to congratulate you. So Bluebonnet just got the Bionic Man, even though our Slack channel hasn't recognized it yet, which we're trying to fix. I'm in a Shield Lock group, so we're accountable, and he definitely did the Bionic Man.
That's right.
So before Bluebonnet even knew there was a Bionic Man, he made it minus 1 day.
Yeah.
And tell us what happened on that 1 day that you missed.
So this was last June. In our region, we were doing June down, so it was a weight loss competition. What's the percentage of body fat that you can lose throughout the month? And I'm a super competitive person. And so I was going to every beatdown I could, ostensibly really every single beatdown, because I wanted more opportunity to burn calories, not because I had any notion there was any special achievement associated with it. And then that week, one of the weekends, I think it was like 3 weekends in to the month of June, I was doing some work around the house. I got into a wasp nest or hornet nest or something and got stung on the hand, and it swelled up like nobody's business. I had some kind of allergic reaction to it. And it was like, it looked like those gloves that you'll fill with water, and it's all puffy. And I was like, ooh, that's gnarly. And went to the doc. And so I skipped the Monday beatdown as a result, because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to grip a coupon. I just shouldn't go. I'll rest up. It'll be fine. I went to the doctor that day. They gave me a whole bunch of meds, and it cleared up pretty quickly, so that I went to the beatdown on Tuesday. It was still a little tingly and still a little puffy, but not too bad. I could at least close my fist again. And then made it to every other beatdown the rest of the month. And later found out that had I just shown up to that Monday beatdown and modified as necessary and just not used that hand, I would have gotten this special thing called Bionic Man for posting at every single beatdown in the month. But yeah, I missed it by one.
That's insane. Yeah, you just had to show up for the what is it, like the count off at the end? Just be present.
Yeah.
So that the queue could have added your name to the back.
That time I showed up on a Saturday and I was in a full suit, and I showed up just for the Name-A-Rama because I was going to a speaking engagement that day.
Love it. That was classic. Yep. So good. Well, lots of memories.
For sure.
Bluebonnet, thanks for being the first one, man. Thanks for being brave. Thanks for being in my shield lock. It's been awesome to grow with you and see you out there in the gloom and do hard things together and do life and business and all this together. So it's only fitting that you should be the first one on here. So I appreciate you, man.
Jasmine, you are an absolute inspiration. I appreciate what you do for individual AOs, individual men that you're out there constantly dragging out of the ocean and putting them in your boat and bringing them over to beatdowns. Thanks for what you do in the region, across the nation for that matter, and certainly what you continue to do in my life. I really appreciate you, and I'm excited to see where this podcast and overall where the Warrior Biz Network goes.
Me too, man. This is great. Well, guys, thank you for joining us on another episode, the first episode of Warrior Biz Network podcast. We hope today's story has inspired you to push your boundaries and strive for excellence in both your business and personal life. Remember, the journey of 43 feet begins with a single step. So take that step today. Continue to build your legacy as a warrior in business and a leader in life. For more inspiring stories and resources, you can visit the website at warriorbiznetwork.com. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, keep living out the principles of fitness, fellowship, and faith. This is Jasmine signing off from the Warrior Biz Network.